First up on Headlines today, I want our viewers to listen in to Afzal Guru, his first ever television interview after the attack on the Indian Parliament. This interview was given to Headlines Today's sister channel Aaj Tak a week after Parliament was attacked. And in this explosive interview, Afzal Guru admits his guilt in carrying out that audacious December 13th attack on Parliament. Listen to that interview. Listen to Afzal Guru. He shows no remorse, no guilt, no regret for his actions.
पाकिस्तान में आपने ट्रेनिंग भी ली है?
हाँ, मैंने पाकिस्तान में ट्रेनिंग ली।
कब ट्रेनिंग ली और किस लोगों ने क्या ट्रेनिंग?
मैं थ्रू जेके लैब गया था 1990 में। तो आई स्टेड देयर फॉर 3 months एंड फॉर 15 days आई टुक अ ट्रेनिंग फ्रॉम द रिटायर पाकिस्तानी फौजी दिस आर्मी ऑफिसर एंड आई केम बैक आफ्टर 15 days. आई स्टेड इन कश्मीर फॉर 25 days. तो उसके बाद मेरा कज़न वहाँ पे आ गया। तो वहाँ पे उस टाइम बिल्कुल वो इट वाज अ सॉर्ट ऑफ अ बिजनेस। 35 ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस थी, वो बिजनेस कर रहे थे। कोई फ्रीडम फाइटिंग नहीं चल रही थी, कोई हायर लॉजिक, कोई हायर गोल, कोई रिवोल्यूशनरी कोई वो प्रोसेस नहीं था। और ऊपर से मारदाड़, एक दूसरे के पीछे पड़े थे। तो मैं फिर कश्मीर छोड़ के यहाँ दिल्ली में बैठ गया।
किस तरह के बिजनेस कर रहे थे
वो? जस्ट वो दे वर प्लंडरिंग, दे वर गेटिंग द मनी फ्रॉम द रिच पीपल, बस। और क्या
आपको बनना? जो पाकिस्तान में ट्रेनिंग दी जाती है मिलिटेंसी की तमाम, तो उसके बाद क्या ये ट्रेनिंग जो लेकर आते हैं, इसमें मतलब कश्मीर की आज़ादी का मामला नहीं, पैसे आपस में लड़ाई करते हैं?
नहीं, दिस वाज इन द बिगिनिंग। मैं 1990 की बात कर रहा हूँ। आफ्टर दैट इट हैज़ टुक ए वेरी न्यू डायमेंशन। नाउ इट हैज़ बिकम एज फार दिस ऑर्गेनाइजेशन इज कंसर्न जैश, इट इज़ अ ग्लोबल, दे हैव गॉट ए ग्लोबल विजन। वो तो कहते हैं हमारा ग्लोबल विजन है। ये नहीं है कि भाई बस पैसे, ये कहते हैं कि हम अल्लाह के लिए लड़ रहे हैं। इनका अपना।
आप किस चीज़ के लिए लड़ रहे थे?
बेसिकली मेरी क्या, मैं इसको मैं एक वर्ड में कैसे बोल सकता हूँ कि मैं इसलिए लड़ा था। कुछ मोटिवेशन भी था।
क्या मोटिवेशन था?
इनकी तरफ से, मतलब गाजी बाबा की तरफ से। मैं कह सकता हूँ, मतलब मैं सब चीज़ों को मिला के बोल देता हूँ कि ये चीज़ें, मतलब इन चीज़ों ने मुझे इस चीज़ पर ले आया है। एक तो कुछ मोटिवेशन था, ऊपर से पैसों का भी चक्कर था। मेरी अब इकोनॉमिक कंडीशंस बहुत वीक हो गई थी। दिस इज़ ऑल्सो ए पार्ट ऑफ दिस, दैट वाई आई बिकम रेडी फॉर दिस थिंग। ऊपर से मेरी थोड़ी बहुत हिस्ट्री जो है पीछे कश्मीर में, मैं सर को बता चुका हूँ कि वो क्या है। मतलब टास्क फोर्स ने मुझे यूँ ही उठा दिया था एक दिन, टॉर्चर, पैसे ले लिए मेरे से, बाकी हैरासमेंट होती रहती थी। दैट ऑल्सो प्लेड टू सम एक्सटेंट, आई कैन से, बट आई एम नॉट जस्टिफाइंग दिस थिंग।
बीइंग अ मुस्लिम, आप मुस्लिम हैं, आप लोग इस तरह की कश्मीर की आज़ादी के नाम पे जो देश भर में आतंकवाद फैला रहे हैं, तो उससे हिंदुस्तान में बाकी मुसलमान हैं, जैसे मैं भी एक मुस्लिम हूँ, तो बाकी मुसलमानों के मतलब उनकी निष्ठा पर लोग शक करते हैं आप लोगों की वजह से, कि ये वो भी शक के दायरे में आते हैं कि ये भी शायद।
ये तो मैं पर्सनली फील करता हूँ। आई डू रियली, आई रियलाइज दिस, दैट ड्यू टू वी पीपल, द मुस्लिम्स इन इंडिया, दे आर सफरिंग and they get a very different image.
And joining me now on Headlines today is Ambassador G. Parthasarthy, former High Commissioner to Pakistan. Also with me, Sanjay Jha of HamaraCongress.com, Harsh Mandar, former member of the NAC, and Majid Memon, senior advocate, joins us from Mumbai. Harsh Mandar, coming to you first. And this was the man you wanted to protect. You sought clemency for Afzal Guru. Why, sir?
Firstly, I'm against the idea of a death penalty completely, and I believe that justice, the reasons, when a country like ours dealing with our citizens needs to temper justice always with mercy and compassion. I think that's what makes a great country.
Terrorists show no mercy, no compassion to when they kill innocent Indians, sir.
Absolutely,
it's an asymmetrical warfare.
People who engage in communal violence don't show mercy. We have, when we deal with people who commit grave crimes against us, it is not a civilized nation which simply gives tit for tat. So I do believe that I do believe that the idea of justice has to prevail. And in the way that this execution has taken place now, there's a sense that politics prevailed over the idea of justice. And for me, justice has to be, detached, impersonal, above politics, above political considerations at any point of time. And we need to reassure every Indian citizen that that the state and the courts will act not not responding to any particular political consideration at any point of time.
Sanjay Jha, respond to this. It was politics. It was politics that led to the hanging of Afzal Guru.
With due respects to Mr. Mandar, I would like to believe that this was a brutal terrorist attack on a very sacred, sanctified institution of Indian Parliament. I mean, you have to just pause and think for a moment that if the terrorists had been successful, it would have perhaps been one of the most violent days in our entire, India's parliamentary, or in fact our entire history put together. It was a challenge. I think it was a cross-border attack on India. This was not just an attack on Parliament. It was not just some kind of a terrorist activity happening at random in Delhi. This was an attack on the country itself. And terrorism is a modern form of the past historical warfare. So we have to accept that. And I think for India, it is very important, and I think therefore this day is very historic, because it's a message going out to, I think, anybody within the country, and definitely to our neighbors on the other side, that if you have any designs of trying to, believe in your nefarious designs of weakening Indian institutions, you can't. This country is capable of fighting back, taking tough decisions, and the most important point is to do that by a proper adherence to the laws that are prevalent in a very vibrant democracy.
I think the whole process of the trial. 13 years later, Sanjay Jha, hang a terrorist 13 years after the crime. Ambassador Parthasarthy, you have served in Pakistan. You know Pakistan better than most people. Does it send any message to Pakistan?
Now, let me first say, with regard to what Mr. Mandir said, I respect his point of view, because there are a large number of people who have moral and conscientious objections to death penalties.
Yes.
But having said that, this is a country where the duly elected parliament, in accordance with the constitution, has enacted death penalty into law. Once it is enacted into law, it must be expeditiously implemented. Now let me take two cases. In the case of Kasab, from the day he was convicted to the day the mercy petition was rejected was a matter of months.
Yes.
So it does cause misgivings in this case, I must admit, when this appellate procedure took so long. So I think that doubt will remain in my mind, nor my mind.
From 2007 to 2013, when the Supreme Court upheld the conviction.
It's unusually long, and it's not healthy in a democracy. Once the Supreme Court gives a decision, if the president has a conscientious objection to this, then I think he or she should not uphold office, because she won't, or he will not be able to uphold the laws of the land. Okay. That's a different story. Yes. But so this does cause a misgiving. Having said that, let me come to the larger issue. The larger issue is, we've had 3 mass-scale terrorist attacks on our country. 1993 Mumbai, when 250 people died. The perpetrator of that, Dawood Ibrahim, lives in Karachi. When I was serving in Pakistan, I've driven past his house. Every taxi driver in Karachi knows where he lives. Yes. In the Defense Housing Society. This attack, according to our intelligence, was carried out by the Jaish, but in collaboration with Lashkar. Now, in this attack, there is a very significant development. Jaish turned against the Pakistani state at a certain point in time. And on March 6, 2004, the then Pakistan Railways Minister, who was a former DG of the ISI, admitted in Pakistan's parliament, March 6, 2004, that the Jaish-e-Mohammed, headed by Maulana Masood Azhar, whom we unfortunately released during the Kandahar hijacking, was responsible for the attack on the Indian parliament and attacks on President Musharraf's life.
Okay.
The third is Mumbai. And from Headley and various other testimony, we know Hafiz Saeed was involved. Now, I think what I would urge our politicians is, like the Israelis or the Americans or the Russians or the French,
yes,
let us vow to our country that these 3 gentlemen responsible for these terrorist attacks, we will get them one way or another.
And we should display intent.
Well, I'll leave that, how it is to be done. Yes. It's not fair for me, as one who's been involved in these sort of things, to talk about. But I think a national resolve to assure the nation that we will neither forget nor forgive these 3 gentlemen, and we'll get them.
Absolutely, that should be India's resolve.
That to me,
I completely agree with you.
That to me is closure.
Yes,
but
yes,
the other
and that's our tagline. That's the top line headlines today saying, Ambassador, there is no sense of closure. All India has done is gone after the pawns in this game of terror. Whether it's an Ajmal Amir Kasab or an Afzal Guru, they are pawns. You have to go after the masterminds. Ambassador Parthasarthy has named those masterminds. There's a Hafiz Muhammad Said, there's a Maulana Masood Azhar, and there's a Dawood Ibrahim. These are three faces. There are also unnamed officers of Pakistan's ISI and Pakistan's army that India needs to go after. How best left to covert capabilities. But Majid Memon, does this, point A, bring a sense of closure? Point B, does this reek of politics? Is this decision political, as Harsh Mandar and several others are now saying?
You see, now I don't think there should be any disagreement if somebody says so, as we have heard the gentleman now, that the war against terrorism has to go on, and if smaller operators have been brought to justice, today being the second person hanged, a message would go. But at the same time, the principal offenders or those who conspired or hatched conspiracy against our country must be brought to books, and they also must meet this end. Well, this is everybody a unanimous view. The question is that I have very patiently heard Mr. Parthasarthy,
yes,
and I respect his sentiments and also his experience. I must say this, that he would agree. He says that it is not my job, but it's the job of the person concerned to get them. Now, to get them is indeed, there has to be a political will, no doubt about it, but then there is a procedure established by international law and by international covenants, by international treaties. You see, we have already recently, only a few months before, when Hadley was sentenced by US court, I have myself said it on your television, if I recall. I said that, look here, now can't we just tell government of United States that till now, when we made a request for Hadley's handing over to India, we were making allegation, as you said. But now your own court has pronounced him guilty and has termed him a terrorist. Now, can we not make a renewed request to hand him down to India so that we must deal with him in our...
The United States is a civilized country. That courtesy Pakistan will never extend. Pakistan will never go after a Hafiz Muhammad Said or even a Dawood Ibrahim.
United States, what is... But my only point is this, that even United States does not positively respond, because it's the sovereign independent decision that a country takes. We are sorry to find that we are unable to, whatever methods we try to adopt, it is not that easy to secure the presence of a person who is outside Indian territory, because our officers cannot go there, our policemen cannot operate there. It is only by some kind of a diplomatic and international law resort that we can get these persons and try them in our country. And then thereafter, of course, as we have given a fair trial to everybody, including Ajmal Kasab, they would be entitled to a fair trial, because we believe in our democracy, we believe in our rule of law.
The Congress party says there is no politics in the hanging of Afzal Guru. The judicial process has taken its due course. But is that actually the case? Pinky Anand, member National Executive of the BJP, now joins me. Pinky Anand, is the timing suspect? Kasab before winter session, Afzal Guru before budget session.
Not only does it smack of politics, but it reeks of politics, I'm afraid. The situation here is so apparent. You have Afzal Guru's hanging now, and you have Kasab's earlier. The incident of Kasab occurred in 2011, and you have the hanging done before one session. Then this one, Afzal Guru, now before the budget session. Ensuing state elections which are coming round the bend in several states, ensuing national elections which are round the corner. The whole timing and the fact that the whole process has taken all of approximately 8 years. Supreme Court decided the matter in 2005, and thereafter the mercy petition is kept hanging. For what purpose? The judicial process has not been kept this matter pending. It is this mercy petition before the president and in the hands of the government, which could have been disposed of in whatever period of time, but definitely not 8 years. Today we are talking about the justice delivery system, efficiency in justice. That is one part. This is purely executive action which the president had to take and could have been done probably within a reasonable space of time.
Okay.
This is not what the constitution makers thought when they gave no time limit for taking such a decision.
In fact, earlier this morning, Sanjay Jha, Abhishek Manu Singhvi he conceded there was a delay. He said at the most it should have taken between 18 months to 24 months. So is it because you wanted to counter the BJP on boycotting Sushil Kumar Shinde in Parliament on the Hindu terror comment, or is it because of the rise of Narendra Modi that had to be countered?
I think Gaurav Manish Tiwari has already answered that very explicitly this morning in his press conference, when he says that it's India's national security and plus the fact that the right judicial process is played out. But I can tell you there is a very blatant contradiction in what Pinky Anand of BJP, from what I heard, just said.
Okay.
She says that the decision today is political, and I think that's laughable and amusing, and I think is the most political statement to make, because she says there are assembly elections coming up, and therefore, you know, there's a national election coming up next year. So in fact, Pinky Anand is suggesting that this decision should have been deferred to beyond next year. Now that I think is ridiculous, because we all acknowledge that. Now Abhishek Singhvi has said that, and everybody agrees that the decision is delayed. Yes, Gaurav, there is no denying, which is one of the reasons why I think all political parties need to perhaps huddle up together,
yes,
to not put so much of a pressure on the president. Maybe a time-bound frame by which these things can be resolved in the future, so
yes,
that people do not see, you know, an attribution of a political motive into it. But the hard message going out from the UPA government is that this is not a soft state, ladies and gentlemen. This is a government that is taking steps and the right decisions in the interest of the country, and I don't think anybody in their right mind should even conceive of Mr. Narendra Modi being at all, even in the wildest imagination, in the iota of anybody's mind, in taking a decision of this kind.
Okay, the BJP is saying it, the civil society is saying it, the timing of Afzal Guru's hanging is suspect. It's a cold, calculated decision taken by the government with elections in mind or with the parliament session in mind. Was war on terror primary on the government's agenda? Let me put this question to Majid Memon. Would you agree with Pinky Anand when she says this timing is suspect with the budget session in mind?
No, see, absolutely not. I will explain in just a short time. You see, number one, delay, definitely it's a matter, correct criticism that there has been delay. But saying that it has come today is because the budget session is coming is ridiculous. It is meaningless. It deserves only to be dismissed for this reason, that if a UPA had resorted to hanging post-budget, then the allegations would have been to sideline criticism on budget. This work has been done.
No, but the criticism is why the delay? Why didn't the hanging take place in 2007 or at the most 2008? Perhaps.
See, Gaurav,
yes,
Gaurav, on delay, there has been lot of debate even before this execution today on your channel itself. I have spoken in very clear terms that we need now guidelines from Supreme Court or the Parliament to ensure that there must be some time limit for disposal of a mercy petition from the day it is filed till it is disposed of, and soon thereafter the execution must take place.
Yes.
There is no dispute on that at all. You know, it has to be done, and it is going to be done very soon, because there is a raging debate all over the nation,
yes,
and everybody unanimously feels that keeping mercy petition, forget Afzal Guru individual case, we are talking in general in the best interest of our implementation of constitution and the laws, that we need a mechanism whereby President would be obliged,
yes,
to dispose of a mercy petition within time bound schedule,
either way,
so that
absolutely,
justice is ultimately done.
And that is exactly what Abhishek Manu Singhvi was telling me earlier today, between 18 and 24 months. Harsh Mandar, would you agree a terrorist like Afzal Guru gets sympathy only because he's on death row for 8 years? The president should decide either ways within 18 to 24 months?
Regardless of whether somebody is a terrorist or not, anyone on death row, it's a worse punishment than death to keep waiting year after year after year, never knowing when when a decision is going to be taken. So I think that 150 countries in the world have abolished the death penalty. I wish India would follow suit. But as long as we have the death penalty, we must do it with fairness. And once the decision is taken, as you
yes,
said, I don't think it is fair to keep the person waiting. But one last thing, you keep talking about India, having to show to its neighbors and to whoever else that we are a strong nation, and we can show it by hanging people.
I didn't say that. Sanjay Jha said that.
As a strong, okay, but I think we can show ourselves to be a strong nation by the strength to our neighboring country and to any other, by the strength of our democracy, by the confidence that we have, and by compassion, by fairness. If he had given at least Afzal Guru a chance to have his last meeting with his wife and his children,
and that would show India is strong.
It is in gesture. That would show India is strong. If India is strong, you're strong by the quality of the rule of law that you have, and the mercy and the compassion that you show to people. That shows strength to me.
Do terrorists deserve mercy and compassion, Ambassador Parthasarthy? Those who attack and kill innocent people, attack the temple of democracy, or kill innocents in Mumbai or across the country?
I said that Mr. Mandir has an intellectual point of view on non-violence and on abjuring the death penalty. I mean, one has to respect that because that sort of point of view prevails everywhere. I am a realist. I live with the law of the land. The law of the land requires and has broad support in this country. You saw after the rape case,
yes,
the number of people demanding more stringent use of death penalty.
Yes.
So as far as public opinion and this country is concerned, even if you may call it not enlightened, favors the death penalty. Let us be very, very real. That is why it is on the statute book. And I believe that a law which is on the statute book should be implemented fairly and expeditiously. And I think we are all agreed that in this case of Afzal Guru, I agree with Mr. Mandir that why do you torture the man by keeping him hanging for so long? If you were going to hang him, do a quick job about it.
Absolutely.
And get over with it. Now, I think I wanted to answer a point which Mr. Memon raised, which is a very relevant point. He said whatever we have to do should be in accordance with international law. Now, as I said, I refer to the actions of countries like France, Britain, Israel,
the
United States, Russia. Now, these countries, when they are threatened by people taking haven across their borders, use the inherent right to self-defense sanctioned under the UN Charter to take out these people wherever they are. I mean, the Russians took out someone in Qatar.
Yes.
This thing happens. The Americans took out Osama in
Abbottabad.
So all I am saying is, under international law, we would be quite justified in getting after these guys, whom I have referred to, these three gentlemen, on Pakistani soil. How we do it is a matter I would not care to discuss here.
But for that, our politicians would have to develop, first show intent and then develop capabilities.
One more minute, a point. I have found that generally in our parliament, these issues involving covert and other actions are not discussed in a bipartisan manner. Go to the United States. Look at the discussion which has been taken place on torture within the Senate. I mean, the CIA director is summoned and made to testify. So I think there is a far greater need especially for these sort of activities where it involves an interpretation of international law and so on, that there should be constituted parliamentary committees so that we don't get into an unseemly controversy. And we are agreed. If the Americans can do it as a mature democracy, the British can do it, the French can do it, so can we.
Sure. Samir Kaul, the response from Jammu and Kashmir, the PDP saying we're disappointed he was hanged. Why would there be disappointment if a terrorist who's waging war on the temple of democracy is hanged? Why should Kashmir or the PDP be disappointed?
I think with due respects to the panel today,
yes,
as you can decry politicians, but as a politician from Jammu and Kashmir state, I am supposed to legitimately express the feelings of a part of India which bought into the dream of Indian democracy, to express their views to this august panel and to this nation.
Yes.
First of all, I hope you don't interrupt me. We don't agree with this capital punishment, and I think it should be banished from our statute at all.
Okay.
A large part of this of the people there feel feel that the judgment in this case could have been little bit more, a little better than what it was, taken longer time, taken more input, and been so whether it is right or wrong, most of them feel that their judgment needed improvement. It is their thought, number one. Number two, please, for God's sake, in this country, if our honorable president has pardoned rapists, and Nalini ji in the south of India, are the south of Indians better, any way different from us Kashmiris? We are also the part of the same country. Number three, the least whatever has happened has happened. We plead that at least the dead body be handed back to the family so that they can at least perform the last rites. Now, is that asking for too much?
Now, it wasn't done in the case of Osama bin Laden. It wasn't done in the case of Ajmal Amir Kassab. This could become a rallying point for terrorists. And let me get Abhishek Manu Singhvi, who joins us on the show, to answer that. Abhishek Manu Singhvi, Sameer Kaul of the PDP says, at least hand over the body for the last rites. It's a humane gesture, he says.
Look, I have nothing to say on this because I am not aware of the relevant rules. These are decided by nitty-gritty rules of the jail manual. Certainly for non-Indian citizens, this facility is not available. In the Kassab case, in fact, Pakistan did not even own up to Kassab till a very late date. As far as an Indian citizen is concerned, I am not very sure. Certainly, if a family member, I repeat, not a political party, but a family member asks for the body, there would be rules governing it.
Well, Mushtaq Guru did ask for it.
Rules will be followed. I am not aware.
Mr. Singhvi, may I just, sorry to interrupt you, but to draw a parallel in history, you know, one of my colleagues, Matre, was killed by the Jammu Kashmir Liberation Front, to which Afzal Guru was also affiliated. Mrs. Gandhi ordered the execution immediately, when I was posted as Consul General in Karachi and got attacked thereafter, of Maqbul Butt. And to the best of my knowledge, Maqbul Butt is buried in Delhi. I don't think we returned the body at that point in time. So I think you are right in saying about the jail manual.
Maqbul Butt would not be returned because Maqbul Butt, as I recollect, and I again am not sure of the facts, was a case where there was no family claimant to the body. That's my recollection.
Okay.
That's the whole point I'm making.
In this case, there is a family claimant.
That's the whole point. Now, if there is a family claimant, there are certain rules which require the disposition, and which I am pleading ignorance of, but they will have to be followed. If there are rules, they will have to be followed equally for everyone. But I mean, you have to ask that of the people who are in charge of the jail.
Would the Congress party, would you as a member of the Congress party,
are not good examples.
Okay, would you as a member of the Congress party appeal to the government as the family is pleading in Jammu and Kashmir to hand over the body of Afzal Guru to the family, or would you fear it could have adverse repercussions?
No, I would certainly just not interfere as the Congress party in a process which is post-execution and has to be governed by rules, relevant rules and regulations in that regard. And I will say nothing on that at all.
Okay. One question I want to pose to you at this stage is the timing. A lot is being said, alleged, that the Congress party did that because Sushil Kumar Shinde faced a boycott on the Hindu terror remark in Parliament. The government's on the back foot, seen as soft on terror. And in all of this, the execution, there's also the rise of Narendra Modi, the way he's coming, taking the national center stage. To counter all of this, the Congress party, the government went ahead and hanged Afzal Guru.
Okay, now I'm going to start on a lighter tone, but I mean every word of what I'm saying in a more serious manner.
Okay.
You know, this is a case of kuch to log kahenge. Logon ka kaam hai kehna. If you had executed Afzal Guru on the 10th of May after the parliament session, the BJP would have said this is before the monsoon session. If you had executed Afzal Guru on a different date, they would have said it's an inter-session period. So this is like the Panchtantra tale. You cannot satisfy critics whether the father and the son walk or they sit on the donkey together. This criticism will be there. Number two, I think there is a limit to how much facetious and common gossip and rumor mongering we can go by. I mean, just consider, Mr. Shinde wanted to get out of this, so he had him executed. Mr. Modi is coming on the stage, therefore we have to execute him. For God's sake, we are not a banana republic. Mr. Shinde doesn't sit and just one day he sneezes and he decides to execute Mr. Afzal Guru. And you think that Mr. Modi, for all his imagined toughness and Loh Purush capacity, is going to be neutralized because we execute Afzal Guru? Let's not get down into bazaar gossip.
Okay, let me put that to Pinky Anand. Pinky Anand, is this bazaar gossip?
What nonsense. I mean, the whole statement of talking about timing, you know, the very factor that all these exercises have been done after a happy gap of 8 years, which now is attempted to be justified by saying, all right, let's have a time limit after the entire episodes are over. You know, on terrorism and any anti-national activity, when you want to take action, the idea is, again, as today is being argued for the rape law, for example, is that take action so that it is seen to be done and a message goes out loud and clear in the nation and to the international community that terrorism or any attack on our sovereignty will not be taken lightly. The strict message which has to go out. There's a total failure of that. So the question is not only the fact that they are having it before the budget session, the question is this attempt of the UPA government to now suddenly wake up after a number of years and do it smacks and reeks of malefides. The fact is that they are doing it obviously to placate. Whether it is with one sequence or another sequence is not the only important part. The part is they want to allay the people to say, all right, we are now interested in showing our face against terror. Well, it's a very sad testimony on a government to sit on their backside and then take up this action.
Okay, Abhishek Manu Singhvi, give me 30 seconds because Samir Kaul also wants to come in on this. 30 seconds and then I'm coming to you.
I will take 60 seconds, please, if you don't mind.
You also listen to PDP, listen to the PDP, then you can respond together.
Okay, fine.
Samir, you wanted to respond to the question of timing.
Fine.
Can I?
Kindly.
The timing is highly suspect. My people all think that this is just a Indian National Congress response to the rising popularity of Narendra Modi. He was made a sacrificial goat, reared to be sacrificed on the altar of appeasement so that they could mount a sufficient response to the rising popularity of Narendra Modi. That's what my people think. And it's really sad if we have to come down to this.
So does this increase the alienation of the people of Jammu and Kashmir? Is that what you're saying? Will separatist forces like the Hurriyat gain with this Samir Kaul?
It's not about separated forces. The separated forces in Jammu and Kashmir are really minimal. I'm talking about the large mass. If the point was to remove mistrust between the people of Jammu and Kashmir, you know, common people, and the rest, and the common people of the rest of India, we need to build on the measures already put into place, not to reverse them.
Okay. Abhishek Manu Singhvi, respond to both. This is not bazaar gossip. These are two senior politicians who are saying that of different political parties.
First of all, the logical corollary of what both of them have said is that Afzal Guru should never be executed. He should never be executed because whenever he is executed, the timing is going to be suspect, and as Pinky Anand used a very strong word, malafide, and that would be an absurd result that he could never be executed. Number two, Mr. Samir Kaul has no panacea because on his formulation also, Afzal Guru, the ideal situation is that having been convicted and mercy petitions dismissed, he should never be executed because there has been a delay. Now both these are absurd statements and deserve to be rejected. Number three, yes, when you are out of governance into the opposition, your accountability is much less, and the BJP is entitled to make facetious comments about delay. When they are in power, they act quite differently. As Rajya Sabha member in 2006 or 2007, I had the privilege of placing on record a chart which showed that a list of 21, and I asked the question that from 1998 to 2004, the so-called Loh Purush, self-styled Loh Purush Advani, who was the Deputy Prime Minister then and the Home Minister, how many did he execute in that list, which included Rajiv Gandhi's killers? The answer was an eloquent silence and the figure was 1. So you obviously act, it's easy to be very irresponsible when you're in opposition, but you act differently because the procedures take time and you hasten very slowly when you're in power.
Okay.
And last but not the least, one question.
Yes.
What was the BJP doing when its staunchest ally pleaded, filed and fought ferociously for non-execution of Rajona, the killer of Beant Singh?
That indeed is an important question, but that's another debate. That's another debate because I've run out of time on this debate.
I'm talking of double standards. I'm talking of I'm talking of real politics. I'm talking of hypocrisy, and I'm talking of double standards.
And that's exactly what Ambassador Parthasarthy is saying, that India needs to adopt a bipartisan approach after this hanging.
Absolutely.
We can only hope and pray.
Gaurav, 1 second. Gaurav, 1 second. I agree entirely.
10
that
seconds.
will happen, and this chick and tutu meme will stop only when you have a constitutional amendment / statutory amendment to prescribe a time limit, which is either 1 year or 18 months or even 2 years. That is a matter of detail, because otherwise everybody's urgency is somebody else's delay.
Oh, absolutely, indeed. Let that be the biggest takeaway from this show after the hanging of Afzal Guru, a bipartisan approach in India, and that will send the biggest message to terrorists, and that will send the biggest message to Pakistan that India is not a soft state. And that is when Indian politicians approach a bipartisan, the Indian politicians have a bipartisan approach towards terror. That is all I have time for. To all my guests, many thanks for joining me on this show.